big story of the day. T-minus 6 hours as we are just this crucial night here for the race for the White House. Vice President Kamala Harris will take on former President Donald Trump, facing off for the first time. The stage is set in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Fox 5's Tom Fitzgerald is with us here today.
Why do they call Philadelphia that?
I don't know. I'm not from Philadelphia.
Have you been to Philadelphia?
Yeah, and it was not brotherly.
Maybe there's some love amongst brothers.
It was cool. That's besides the point.
Had a good sandwich, but other than
maybe back then with the founding farmers over in Independence Hall, there was more brotherly love. In the meantime, though, let's talk about the stakes because they're very high. And this is we saw how the last debate went, and that ended a campaign for the former Democratic nominee.
Yeah, kind of important this year, these debates. And, you know, as we head in tonight, you know, I think a good thing to remember is that we are going to see, say what you want about them, but we are going to see the most experienced general election presidential debater in modern political history. Donald Trump now, for the third election cycle in a row, is going to be, you know, on that stage tonight. You know, not a lot of people can say that. People have been nominated 3 times, but in the modern era, we haven't already had, you know, these debates. He missed one last time because of COVID. So Kamala Harris is going to have to go up against that. You know, Trump can be a lot of things, depending on what mood strikes him at the moment. You know, the big question tonight is, how does he make people not like Kamala Harris and prevent people from not liking him? Can he do that with a smile on his face? Can he do it by sticking to issues? Or is he going to go low and nasty, the way we know he sometimes can go, and that can have the opposite effect?
Well, then, by that same token, Kamala Harris, who's a prosecutor, who has, you know, gone against guys like Trump for a very, very long time, does she have some experience here? Does she have an upper hand that she might be able to use that we haven't seen from her
yet?
Look,
former Attorney General of the state, former United States Senator, grilled a member of the U.S. Supreme Court who's on the court right now, probably one of the landmark question sessions for Brett Kavanaugh. He's not going to soon forget that. They were playing it over and over again at the Democratic Convention in Chicago. Kamala Harris clearly knows how to handle herself on her feet. The question, though, is she hasn't had a lot of time in the batting cage lately, you know, friends. Like, she did that one interview with CNN, all right? That, by all accounts, kind of got a reaction of meh from people. Is that still a word? Meh?
Yeah, we'll use it. Sure, Merriam-Webster would accept it. I mean, I think...
You know, she was pressed on, you know, what are you going to do specifically? And there was a lot of, well, we're going to try.
And there's been a lot of talk about her style, about maybe not addressing things head on. Not that the former president does that, but there's certainly different styles at stake here. She just, on her website yesterday, put her policy. We had A. Scott Bolden on yesterday, and he said that if she sticks to the policy, she'll be able to win. But then at the same time, you think about 2016. You look at Donald Trump up against Hillary Clinton, sticking to policy, and yet those are the memories that people have of the debates.
I'm really glad you brought that up because, you know, we should remember, too, there's going to be a similarity here in 2016 and tonight, is that Donald Trump's going to be debating an opponent who is a woman, okay? Donald Trump seems to have a different gear when he's questioned by a woman. Now, Hillary Clinton's strategy back in 2016 was she was going to be above all of it. She was going to rise above. She was going to be the adult in the room. How did that work out with her? You know, not so good. So Harris, you know, there's more peril in this for her tonight because she is a bit of an unknown quantity in a presidential debate. We've not seen her in this role before. Yes, we've seen her in vice presidential debates. We haven't seen her in this. So is she going to take the Hillary Clinton strategy and rise above everything and appear to the viewer to be disconnected to what's actually going on in that room in that moment?
Right.
Or is she going to go after this, point out what's going on in real time? And also, here's the other thing. She now is in this position, she's trying to run as the anti-incumbent, which is really interesting because she's in this administration
She might as well be the incumbent, right?
They're both going to try to point at each other tonight and say, no, 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 you're the incumbent. You're the former president. He's going to say, no, you're the incumbent vice president. So who's going to win that battle? Which is hilarious.
Let's talk about also the fact that this is in Pennsylvania. This is right as early voting is getting started in some places, right as this is going to be down to the wire as to will it count, will it shift that sliver of independence, who will make or break this election in a battleground state that is do or die for both of them.
Well, you saw these morning console polls that came out tonight in the swing states, the battleground states. I won't go through all of them. It's razor thin, you know, so there's no margin of error tonight for either one of these candidates. Donald Trump cannot just assume that his 46, 47%, where he tends to top out sometimes, is going to get him there. Now, the Trump campaign is playing a different game than the Democrats. The Trump campaign is playing the Electoral College map. The Democrats are hoping that their popularity numbers will get them over that heap and capture them those 270. But, you know, neither one comes in with an advantage tonight. This is about as even draw going into this debate.
This is historical.
Yeah.
This is historical. I haven't seen anything like this, and watching this over the however many decades I've been watching, don't say anything. And
well, you and I covered the
watching,
Lincoln Douglas debate.
Right. We were at the Lincoln Douglas debates, and we did well there. So watching this, the history of this, I don't know if the polls can predict what we're about to see tonight. I know I've watched the polls say this is what's about to happen, and the complete opposite thing happens.
Well, again,
on the
in
debate
2016,
stage.
we saw that the polls did not predict anything.
Candidates implode on that stage. We just saw it.
We saw it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we saw it a couple of weeks ago.
And the thing is, too, remember, Joe Biden did more damage to Joe Biden that night than Donald Trump did to Joe Biden.
He sure did.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen exactly what these two are going to bring to us.
I'm really anxious to see this.
For us, and we know we'll have coverage starting at 8 p.m. on Fox Local. So we'll see you then, Tom, and again later tonight after the debate. It's 90 minutes. You can catch it here at 9 p.m. on Fox 5. Thank you, Tom. All right.